بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. I ask Allah Ta'ala to grant each of us the sincere intention and to grant us the proper comprehension of the lesson. Allahumma ameen. So in continuing with our explanation of Hadeeth Jibreel, the Prophet then, alayhi salatu wassalam, said, وَتُؤْمِنَ بِالْقَدَرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ, and to believe in the qadar, the good and the bad. So if you recall, when the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam started mentioning this hadith, he said to Jibreel alayhi salam, to believe in Allah, His angels, His books, His prophets, the Day of Judgment. And then the Prophet said now, and to believe in the qadar, the good and the bad. So he repeated the term, and to believe, before mentioning the qadar. He mentioned it in the beginning by saying to believe in Allah, and then the rest of the things are being listed, His angels, His books, His prophets, and so on. And then the Prophet repeated this term, and to believe, again before mentioning the qadar, by saying and to believe in the qadar, the good and the bad. And that is done by the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, so to draw the attention of the listener to what he's about to mention, and to show the great significance of that matter. That is because believing in al-qadar is one of the most important matters of the creed. It's amongst the most important matters in believing in Allah. And the most important matters in believing in Allah are believing that Allah is the only one who deserves to be worshipped, believing that Allah has no partners, believing that nothing resembles Allah in any way whatsoever, nothing from the creation resembles the Creator, and also that everything that happens by Allah's will, and that He is the creator of everything. These are the most important matters when it comes to believing in Allah. So, for that reason, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam highlighted, if you want, that part about believing in al-qadar by mentioning these or this term again, and to believe. وَتُؤْمِنَ بِالْقَدَرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ, and to believe in al-qadar, the good and the bad. And because of the significance of the matter of al-qadar, Al-Imam al-Ash'ari, may Allah raise his rank and benefit us by him, he said, إِنَّ الَّذِي لَا يُؤْمِنُ بِالْقَدَرِ واقع في نوع من أنواع الشرك. He said, surely the one who does not believe in al-qadar, that everything, good and bad, happens by the will of Allah, he said he has fallen into a type of shirk, into a type of polytheism. And that means that such a person is not a Muslim. Such a person is not a believer. The one who does not believe that everything, absolutely everything, good and evil, happens by the will of Allah, this person is not a Muslim. Because to be a Muslim, you have to believe that everything happens by the will of Allah. Also, Al-Imam Abu Mansur Al-Maturidi, may Allah raise his rank and benefit us by him. He said, إن الذي لا يؤمن بالقدر على الوجه الصحيح يكون ناقضا للإيمان. He said, indeed, the one who does not have the proper belief in al-qadar would be contradicting al-iman. They would be contradicting belief, meaning they are not Muslim. They wouldn't be considered a believer. So that means that this person's wrong conviction contradicts the belief in Allah. And so he would not be a believer. He wouldn't be believing in Allah correctly. So we are obligated to believe that both the good and the bad happen by the will of Allah the Exalted. And linguistically, al-khayr, the good, is what causes the well-being of a person. So it's whatever is good for the person. As for the religious meaning of al-khayr, the good, it is whatever the religion deems as good, whatever the religion encouraged one to do, whatever the religion encourages one to do. As for ash-sharr, the evil, religiously, it is whatever the religion forbade us from doing. So the good is whatever the religion deems as good, and the bad or the ugly is whatever the religion deems as bad. Al-hasanu ma hassanahu ash-shar' wal-qabihu ma qabbahahu ash-shar'. And some of the matters are considered good at all times, according to the religion. And some matters are considered good at certain times and in regards to certain people. Like what? Like earning money. Like earning money. For some people, this is considered good. Subhanallah. And for some people, it is considered bad. That means for some people, it's good for them to earn money. It's good for them to earn a wage. And for some people, this is not good for them. This is not good for them. So it depends on the situation of the person and the state of that money. It depends on the situation of that person and the state of that money. And we know that the well-being of some people is in poverty. That means that the well-being in the hereafter for some people is in them being poor. That means that their state in the hereafter is better for them, or let's say their state in the hereafter would be better for them if they are poor in this life. They will have a higher status in the hereafter if they are poor in this life. And subhanallah, for some people, Allah facilitates for them poverty, because He has willed for them what is better for them in the hereafter. And I remind myself and you that most of the people of paradise are poor. Most of the people of paradise are poor. They are not wealthy people in this life. Think about that. Because there are a lot of people that are wealthy nowadays. Subhanallah. Nowadays, it's very easy for many people to become very wealthy. If they are open to doing certain things, they can become very wealthy. And for some people, their state will be better in the hereafter if they are wealthy in this life. And this is not for most people, brothers and sisters. I know that many people might try and claim that they are one of those people, but Allah knows best who truly is amongst this group. Think about it. It would mean that they use their wealth for the sake of Allah. It would mean that they use their wealth for the sake of Allah. They hold themselves to account for everything that they spend on and what they buy for themselves and for others. They hold themselves to account for everything. For example, Abu Bakr, may Allah raise his rank. He gave all of his wealth away for the sake of Allah, all of it. This is someone, and this is the best example from this nation, from the Muslims in this nation who follow Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. He is the best example, Abu Bakr, of people who had a lot of wealth, and that wealth was good for them to have in this life for their hereafter. He gave away everything for the sake of Allah. Uthman is another example of that. He was wealthy in this life, and he gave so much away for the sake of Allah. So someone might try and trick themselves into thinking that they are one of those people because they are wealthy, but it's rare to find someone who is wealthy and they give everything away for the sake of Allah. When I say wealth, I do not mean a millionaire. That's definitely, I don't mean just a millionaire. To be religiously wealthy, you don't have to have $1 million. You don't have to have $100,000. You can have a lot less than that and you're still considered wealthy. That's why a person needs to understand what it means to be a faqir and a miskeen according to the religion. Religiously, what does it mean to be poor, actually? You would be surprised because you might consider certain people poor and they are not considered poor religiously. They have their needs. There are many people nowadays that people would consider them as poor, but religiously they are not considered poor. That's why I'm saying think about it, so that we at least see things for what they are. And that we are not fooled, because many people, subhanallah, brothers and sisters, many people are fooled. Many Muslims and, of course, non-Muslims. And subhanallah, we have an opportunity because we're still alive to do with what Allah has given us of wealth, what those who passed away cannot do anymore. Imagine all those Muslims who passed away and they left behind inheritance, and they left behind houses and gold and money in banks. Maybe they left behind trust funds and stocks, whatever people consider like wealth nowadays, and different possessions. And imagine the reward that they missed out on. They could have had so much reward in the hereafter, if they had done with that for themselves what is better for them. Subhanallah, it's very interesting, really, when you think about it, that so many people strive to collect so much. And there are some people that they live their whole life, like into their 70s and 80s, just collecting things and collecting money. And many times they're not generous with it. Subhanallah, many times people are not generous with what they have strived so hard to collect like that. And then they die and they leave it behind for other people. And then usually what happens is those other people, they many times they waste it. They waste it on things that had that person been alive, they wouldn't have accepted for it to be spent on those things. But if they were intelligent, they would have spent it on themselves for their hereafter. Right? Subhanallah. They would have spent it on themselves for their hereafter. Yeah, it's nice for a person, yani, to leave behind something for their kids or something like that. But it's really nice to use it for your hereafter. And inshallah, your kids will have their own rizq, which Allah the Exalted has eternally willed for them. And inshallah, they will learn from what you did and use it for their hereafter too. One of the highly righteous Muslims used to use his wealth for his hereafter. Yani he would advance it to the grave and to the hereafter. He would do good deeds with it. And some people used to think perhaps that he was stingy or that he didn't want to spend on his family and things like that. But he was really intelligent. He did whatever he needed to do religiously. He fulfilled his obligations, of course. But he preferred having more reward in the hereafter, and that comes from intelligence. And it shows his level of yaqeen, his certitude. He knows that he will get the reward in the hereafter, and he prefers that. You know what they call FOMO, fear of missing out? Something that people get nowadays a lot, and they talk about this, the fear of missing out on something. And it may be a reason for people to buy a lot of things because it's just that fear of like missing out. I need to have that, and I need to have this, and I need to go there, and I need to do this thing, and I need to be part of that. Imagine if people had this fear of missing out on the reward in the hereafter. How that would change things for us, subhanallah. I remind myself and you that we are being tested. We are being tested with the things that Allah has given us, the endowments that we have. What are you going to do with them? What am I going to do with them? And there are people, women and men, that prefer to advance that, to put it forward for their hereafter, for their grave. And there are people like this. But most people are not like that. But that's why we live this life and we are tested, and then we will be judged. What are we going to be judged for? We will be judged for what we did in this life. And the pious people, they have different situations as well. Subhanallah. Yani some of them, Allah the Exalted gave them wealth. What will they do with that? They're being tested. Some people, Allah the Exalted gave them a strong ability to memorize, and so they can memorize a lot. What will they do with this gift, if you want, that Allah gave them? And some people have other talents or other strengths. What will they do with the strengths that Allah gave them? Some people have bravery and confidence, like very strong confidence and bravery and courage. What will they do with it? Some people use that to harm others and to bully others and to make others feel small and broken and for them to feel like they are above others. And some people use it in the way that Allah accepts. So some people, if they gathered money, they would benefit their hereafter by that. And they would benefit other people. As we said, as is the case of our master Uthman, for example, and like the situation of Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, and the state of some of the highly righteous Muslims who were amongst the wealthy. But you will find that most of the pious people, they're not amongst the wealthy. They are not amongst the wealthy. And al-khayr, good, and ash-sharr, evil, might be actual physical entities, or things that are related to the self, which do not exist individually. They also may be related to this world, and they may be related to the hereafter. So no matter what good or bad we are talking about, they all happen by the will of Allah. And all of them are created by Allah. All of them. Every good and every bad. Even the will of the person himself, our will, is created by Allah. We do not will for anything except if Allah wills for us to do so. So the person's will occurs by the will of Allah. Yani his will is under the will of God. As Allah said in the Qur'an in Sooratul-FaatiHah, verse 29, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. It means you do not will anything except if Allah, the Lord of the worlds, wills it for you. And the good and the bad do not occur except by the destining of Allah the Exalted. As Allah said in the Qur'an, إِنَّا كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقْنَاهُ بِقَدَرٍ. It means everything was created in accordance to the destining of Allah, meaning according to the will of Allah. So the good and the bad would not exist except by the creating of Allah. As Allah said in verse 96 of Sooratul-FaatiHah, وَاللَّهُ خَلَقَكُمْ وَمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. وَاللَّهُ خَلَقَكُمْ وَمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. Which means, and Allah created you and what you do. Allah created you and He created everything that you do. And this matter also points to the consensus, the ijma' of the Salaf, the early scholars, and the Khalaf, the latter scholars or the later scholars, which is also the saying of the Muslims, مَا شَاءَ اللَّهُ كَانَ وَمَا لَمْ يَشَأْ لَمْ يَكُنْ. That whatever Allah wills to be shall be, and whatever Allah does not will to be shall not be. And the taqdeer of Allah is the destining of Allah, which is His attribute, and it means to make everything the way that it is. If a person had the firm belief in their heart, without any doubt, in all of these matters that we mentioned, and in everything that the Prophet mentioned in the Hadith, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, with all of the conditions that we mentioned in the past classes, then he is a Muslim believer. So if one was not a Muslim, he would need to utter the testifications of faith, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, or in any language, there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, in order to be a Muslim, in order to enter into al-Islam. However, if one was born to a Muslim parent, then it's enough for that person, in order for them to believe, to have these in their heart. It is enough for one to believe in the testifications of faith in the heart. However, he is still obligated to utter the shahada in the prayer for the validity of the prayer. And is it a condition that his belief in these matters mentioned by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam must be built on a proof? No. He doesn't have to know the proofs for these matters to be considered a believer. However, one would be sinful if he or she did not learn the proofs for that. It means that the Muslim must know the general proof for the oneness of Allah and the truthfulness of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. And it is not a condition that he knows the detailed proof for each matter amongst the matters of at-Tawheed, amongst the matters of the creed. If one had the firm conviction, without any doubt, in these matters, but he fell short in learning the proofs, then he is a Muslim. So when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam answered Jibreel alayhi salam with that, what we mentioned earlier, Jibreel alayhi salam said to him, Sadaqta, you are correct. He told him, you are correct. So the companions listening were amazed at how he asks the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, and then he tells him, you are correct. Then Angel Jibreel alayhi salam said to the Prophet, فَأَخْبِرْنِي عَنِ الْإِحْسَانِ, tell me about al-ihsan. And that means inform me about the highest status or rank that a person can reach amongst the states of al-ihsan, the highest. Tell me about the highest. So the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied by saying, أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه. He said, it is for you to worship Allah as if you see Him. And we know that we don't see Allah. And we know that Allah is not like the creation. He is not a body, and He is not something that has a shape or a color, and He is not in a place or in a direction. He exists without a place. But the highest status amongst the states of al-ihsan is to worship Allah as if you see Him. And inshallah, we'll explain this next week. Inshallah. So we'll stop here. So a benefit to leave you with, or maybe 3 of them. It was narrated that Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah raise his rank and benefit us by him, said to his companions, أنتم أكثر صلاة وصوما وجهادا من أصحاب محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام وهم كانوا خيرا منكم. He said, you perform more prayer, fasting, and jihad than the companions of Muhammad عليه الصلاة والسلام. Yet they were better than you. So this is Ibn Mas'ud. He's a companion, and he's speaking to his companions. So he is speaking to like his students, the followers of the companions. And he's saying to them, you perform more prayer and fasting and jihad than the companions of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. However, they were better than you. So they said to him, كيف ذلك? How is that? So he said, كانوا أزهد منكم في الدنيا وأرغب منكم في الآخرة. He said, they were more detached from this world than you, and more desirous of the hereafter than you. And it was narrated that Abu Darda, radiyallahu anhu, the companion of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam, said, لئن حلفتم لي على رجل أنه أزهدكم لأحلفن لكم أنه خيركم. He said, if you were to swear to me about a man that he is the most detached from the dunya matters amongst you, I would surely swear to you that he is the best amongst you. And it was narrated that Al-Hasan, may Allah raise his rank and benefit us by him, said, قالوا يا رسول الله من خيرنا? They said, O Messenger of Allah, who is the best of us? So he said, عليه الصلاة والسلام, أزهدكم في الدنيا وأرغبكم في الآخرة. The one amongst you who is most detached from this world and most desirous of the hereafter. I ask Allah Ta'ala to grant us to implement these advices. And I ask Allah to facilitate that for us and to make it easy upon us. Subhanallah, it's not an easy matter. I ask Allah Ta'ala to make us amongst those who are intelligent in this life and they detach from the dunya and they desire the hereafter and they work harder for the hereafter. Please make this dua for me from your heart. And I ask Allah to grant it to all of you as well and your loved ones and your family members. Allahumma ameen. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.